Flying these days might feel like second nature. You check in, breeze through security, find your seat, buckle up, and wait for takeoff. It's a routine, almost automatic. But hiding behind the captain's calm announcements, the flight attendant's easy smiles, and those little snack packs, there's an entire world tucked away above the clouds. A world filled with secrets. Secrets that pilots know inside and out. Secrets that flight attendants are trained to handle without ever letting it show. And secrets that airlines hope you'll never get curious enough to ask about. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on that hidden world. We're talking about the things you were never meant to find out. The rules unwritten in your ticket, the little tricks built into every flight, and the quiet risks no one announces over the loudspeaker. So buckle up tight. Because once you know what's really happening at 35,000 feet, you'll never look at flying the same way again. It's time to take off. Multiple studies have found that tray tables can carry up to 10 times more germs than the toilet flush button. We're talking thousands of colony-forming units of bacteria per square inch. Meanwhile, the flush button? A couple hundred, give or take. Not exactly comforting, but still nowhere near as bad as that tray you're about to eat your sandwich on. The reason's simple. Toilets, for all their grimy reputation, get cleaned frequently. Tray tables? Not so much. On many flights, they're lucky to get wiped down once a day. In the meantime, passengers are using them for everything. Snacking, resting their heads, even changing diapers. And no, flight crews don't have the time to scrub every tray between flights. So, if you're planning to eat or even just rest your arms during the flight, it's a smart move to pack a disinfectant wipe. Give that surface a quick clean before you dive into your meal. It's one of those small steps that might just save you from bringing home an unwanted souvenir. Next time you're handed a cup of coffee or tea on a flight, you might want to pause for a second. Those hot drinks are usually made with water from the plane's onboard tanks, not from bottled water. And here's the catch. Those tanks aren't exactly scrubbed down every day. Jenny, a flight attendant with over 20 years of experience, put it simply, I don't drink the tap water. I just don't always trust the cleanliness of the aircraft and the testing of it. And she's not alone. Multiple studies have found that airplane water tanks can harbor bacteria, including E. coli. A 2015 study called them conducive for microbial growth, and earlier, the Environmental Protection Agency found coliform bacteria in 15% of planes they tested. Even though airlines now follow stricter rules to clean and test the tanks, later inspections showed problems still pop up. Flight attendants, unions have said the regulations don't go far enough, and that's one more reason many crew members avoid tap water on board. If you're flying on a major airline or sitting up in business class, you're usually offered bottled water by default. No problem there. But if you're flying with a budget airline, especially some of the low-cost carriers across Asia, it's a different story. You're much more likely to get water that's been poured straight from the tank. Best move? Bring your own sealed bottle if you can. Even better, if you want to save space, carry an empty bottle through security and fill it up at a filtered water station near your gate. When you settle into your seat and the plane starts to move, you might notice something subtle. The lights inside the cabin dim. It feels calming, almost cozy, especially during a nighttime flight. But this little detail isn't about setting the mood. It's a safety move, plain and simple. If anything goes wrong during takeoff or landing, the two riskiest parts of any flight, you might need to evacuate. And if that happens, your eyes need to adjust fast to the outside light, whether it's the pitch black of night or a blinding midday sun. By dimming the lights inside, your eyes are already halfway ready. You'll see better, move faster, and have a better shot at getting out safely. It's the kind of small, silent protocol that could save your life, and you'd never even realize it was happening. And that's not the only quiet safety move at play. Ever wonder why they make such a big deal about stowing your tray table before landing? It's not just to keep things tidy. A clear path means faster movement if an evacuation is needed. No tables in the way, no tripping hazards between you and the nearest exit. Same thing with opening the window shades during descent. It's not about enjoying the view. It's about giving you and the crew a clear line of sight to the outside. If something's wrong out there, you'll see it. If you need to get out fast, you'll know which way to go. Then there's the announcement we've all heard 1,000 times: switch your phone to airplane mode. And let's be honest, how many people actually do it the second they're told? It's easy to roll your eyes and think it's overcautious. After all, your phone isn't going to bring a plane down. But what it can do is mess with communication signals, especially if dozens or hundreds of phones are all fighting to find a signal at once. It creates static, tiny glitches in the pilot's headsets. Nothing catastrophic, but enough interference at the wrong moment? Nobody wants that. So, yes, airplane mode still matters. And if you've ever stared out the window and spotted that tiny hole near the bottom of the glass, no, it's not a design flaw. It's called a bleed hole. It's there to balance the pressure between the cabin and the layers of window pane and to prevent the window from fogging up. Another one of those quiet little details, engineered to keep you safe without you ever needing to think about it. Up here, it's the invisible things, the ones you barely notice, that are often working the hardest to protect you. That cool, crisp air you feel on a plane? It might seem refreshing, but it's really not. What you're breathing is a mix, a little fresh air from outside, blended with recycled cabin air that's already passed through the lungs, coughs, and sneezes of hundreds of passengers. Yes, airlines run this recycled air through HEPA filters, which can trap up to 99.97% of airborne bacteria and viruses. And yes, that helps. But it doesn't erase the simple fact: you're still sharing air that's been breathed out by everyone around you. Every cough, every breath, every whisper, it all adds up inside that sealed metal tube. Studies from the National Library of Medicine show that respiratory illnesses, including COVID-19, can and do spread on planes, even with filtration systems in place. Sitting near a sick passenger makes a difference, and when a cabin is packed full, the air becomes an invisible highway for germs. So while airplane air is cleaner than it used to be, it's far from pure. Next time you fly, think of that fresh cabin breeze for what it really is. And maybe keep a mask and some wipes close by. Because breathing recycled air at 35,000 feet isn't quite as harmless as it feels. You've seen those oxygen masks in every pre-flight safety demo. Pull the mask toward you, secure it over your nose and mouth, breathe normally. Sounds straightforward, right? But there's something they don't exactly spell out. Those masks only give you about 12 to 15 minutes of oxygen. It sounds scary at first, but there's a reason behind it. If a plane suddenly loses cabin pressure, the pilot's first job is to get the aircraft down, fast, to a breathable altitude, usually below 10,000 feet. And that emergency descent? It typically takes just a few minutes. The oxygen masks aren't meant to keep you breathing comfortably for hours. They're there to keep you conscious during the critical moments while the plane is dropping altitude. And when I say critical, I mean it. If cabin pressure drops, you only have a handful of seconds, sometimes as little as 15 to 30 seconds, to get that mask on before hypoxia kicks in. That's when your brain and body start to shut down from lack of oxygen. So if it ever happens, don't waste time looking around or grabbing your phone. Reach up, pull the mask down, put it on, and breathe. You only have seconds to put on the mask. Otherwise, you'll pass out. Here's something most passengers never realize. Pilots are actually allowed, and sometimes encouraged, to nap while flying. It's called controlled rest, and it's a carefully managed process designed to keep you safer, not put you at risk. On long-haul flights, think New York to Singapore, over 12 hours in the air, fatigue becomes a real threat. Crossing multiple time zones, working overnight, dealing with brutal schedules, it wears pilots down. Controlled rest helps counter that. Here's how it works. Once the plane is cruising at a stable altitude on autopilot, one pilot can take a short nap, usually 20 to 40 minutes, while the other stays fully awake, monitoring everything. They coordinate shifts carefully, and on ultra-long flights over 16 hours, airlines even schedule extra pilots on board so there's always two alert in the cockpit. Studies, like one highlighted by BBC News, show that a well-rested pilot makes faster decisions and reacts more effectively in emergencies. So when your captain catches a quick nap, it's not slacking off. It's part of the plan to keep everyone safe. But what happens if both pilots fall asleep? It's rare, but it has happened. In 2024, on a Batik Air flight in Indonesia, both pilots accidentally fell asleep for nearly half an hour. The plane drifted off course, but one pilot woke up, corrected the path, and landed safely. Other incidents have been reported over the years, but thanks to autopilot systems and strict safety layers, accidents have been avoided. Still, these cases are reminders that fatigue management in aviation is serious business. On a packed flight, the tiny lavatory might feel like the last private space you have. But here's the thing. Your privacy in there is more of an illusion than a guarantee. Every airplane bathroom door can be unlocked from the outside. There's a hidden latch, usually tucked right behind the lavatory sign. In an emergency, or if a passenger isn't responding, or just happens to be taking way too long, flight attendants can pop the door open in seconds. It's surprisingly simple. All they have to do is lift the lavatory sign and slide the little knob underneath. That's it. Door unlocked. Of course, flight crews aren't doing this just because you're spending extra time fixing your hair. It's about safety. Still, next time you're mid-flight and feeling a little too relaxed in there, just remember, someone always has a key. Not every seat on a plane is created equal. A lot of people scramble for the front rows so they can get off the plane faster. But if you're thinking about safety, you might want to aim further back. Statistics show that passengers seated toward the rear of the plane have a slightly higher survival rate in crashes. Why? In many past accidents, the tail section suffered less damage than the front. Of course, every crash is different. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. But if you want to play the odds smartly, picking a seat toward the back could tilt things a little more in your favor. One thing's for sure, planes never hit mountains tail first. So even though the risk of any accident is tiny, your chances are statistically better back there. Also worth knowing, aisle seats, while convenient, tend to get bumped more by drink carts, other passengers, and they can feel rougher during turbulence. So if you're looking for a quieter, less bumpy ride, a window seat in the back might just be your best bet. It sounds terrifying, but lightning strikes on airplanes are actually pretty common. In fact, the average commercial plane gets hit about once a year. The good news? Planes are built to handle it. Modern aircraft are made with conductive materials that let lightning travel along the outer shell and exit safely at another point, without causing real damage. It's like a giant shield, quietly doing its job at 35,000 feet. If you're lucky or unlucky, you might see a flash outside your window or hear a soft boom. But most of the time, passengers don't even realize it happened. If you've ever been told your flight is overbooked, it wasn't some random glitch. Airlines do it on purpose. It's a calculated move. They sell more tickets than there are seats because they know not every passenger will show up. Most of the time, it works out. If too many people do turn up, the airline will start offering travel vouchers to volunteers willing to take a later flight. But if not enough people volunteer, they can require certain passengers to give up their seats. It's a gamble designed to maximize profits. But unfortunately, it can throw your travel plans into chaos without warning. Usually, if a seat shortage happens, airlines try to sort it out before anyone boards. But there's one infamous case where it didn't go that way. On April 9, 2017, Dr. David Dow, a 69-year-old Vietnamese-American physician, was forcibly dragged off United Express Flight 3411 at Chicago O'Hare. The flight wasn't technically overbooked. They needed to free up seats for 4 Republic Airways crew members heading to another assignment. When no volunteers stepped forward, Dr. Dow was randomly selected but refused to leave because he had patients waiting. The result was a violent scene that left him with serious injuries, sparked global outrage, and knocked about $1 billion off United's stock value. Their CEO had to publicly apologize, and the fallout changed airline policies for good. Dr. Dow later reached a confidential settlement with United, and airlines today can no longer remove passengers once they're already boarded, thanks to rule changes by the U.S. Department of Transportation in 2021. Bottom line, next time you hear overbooked, know it's not a fluke. It's part of the system. But at least now, if you're in your seat, you're staying there. Let's wrap up with something a little darker. What actually happens if a passenger dies during a flight? It's rare, thankfully. Medical emergencies at 35,000 feet happen, but actual deaths occur in just about 0.3% of in-flight medical cases. That works out to roughly 1 death per 3.2 million passengers. Most of the time, it's due to heart problems, pulmonary embolisms, or sudden medical crises, especially on long-haul flights when passengers sit still for hours. If a death is confirmed, the crew follows a strict but respectful protocol. And no, the plane usually doesn't divert. Once a person has passed away, there's no urgent reason to land somewhere unexpected unless there's another compelling reason. If there's room, the crew will discreetly move the body to an empty row, often toward the back or in first class if possible. They'll cover the body up to the neck with a blanket and secure it with a seatbelt to keep it stable. If the flight is full, the passenger typically stays where they are, with nearby travelers relocated if space allows. The crew keeps everything as low-key as possible, dimming the cabin lights, using carts or curtains to shield the area, and avoiding drawing attention. On some long-haul flights, there's even a body bag on board to help manage the situation, especially to prevent issues like rigor mortis during extended trips. But commercial planes don't have refrigerated storage or any special equipment beyond that. Flying might seem routine, but as you've seen, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Most of it invisible, some of it surprising, and all of it part of what keeps you safe, comfortable, and sometimes even a little amazed. The next time you step onto a plane, you'll know a little more about the hidden systems, quiet risks, and tiny details that make modern air travel possible. And maybe, just maybe, you'll never look at a tray table, a lavatory door, or even a peaceful nap at 35,000 feet quite the same way again. Thanks for watching, and safe travels.